Dating back to 1905, Rolex has long been amongst the most prestigious watchmakers in the world. However, while the watchmaker is reported to sell over 800,000 timepieces a year, there are some in the archives that are simply a cut above the rest. And it's these that earn a spot on the list of the most expensive Rolex watches ever sold. Interestingly, while Rolex is known for its flashy diamond-encrusted watches, for example the Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice, which is covered entirely with stones, for the most part it's often the more understated pieces with a storied history that have fetched the highest prices, rather than the showiest. For example, the Daytona models were widely unpopular when they were first released, but add sitting on the wrist of someone with a following like Paul Newman for a few years, and they were elevated to legendary status, with prospective owners jumping at the opportunity to buy a piece of Hollywood legacy. So, without further ado, here are the most expensive Rolex watches to have ever been sold. Number 6. Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice. Price $485,350. Renowned football star Cristiano Ronaldo wore the Rolex GMT Master 2 Ice, reference 116769 TBR. He was spotted wearing this during the 14th Dubai International Sports Conference. This Rolex watch is considered the most expensive watch that the brand has released in the last few years. It came with a retail price of $485,350 when it was first released in 2007. This timepiece best describes what luxury should look like in the 21st century. The gleaming silver and diamond-encrusted exterior of this watch have led it to being nicknamed Master Ice by watch enthusiasts. The Master Ice positively drips with 30 carats of brilliantly cut diamonds. Every inch of this watch is not lacking in these precious stones, making it aesthetically pleasing and a sure head-turner. Adding to its luxurious appearance is the 18-carat white gold oyster case that features a triplock winding crown and a screw-down case back. With regards to the watch's technical features, the Master Ice comes with a caliber 3186 self-winding automatic movement, along with 31 jewels, all of which are enclosed in a 100-meter waterproof case. The shining white dial displays the date aperture at the 3 o'clock mark and a GMT 24-hour time zone. Luminous hour markers complete the icy features of this watch. In addition, the hands of the watch are lined with black to increase readability, so you don't have to worry about being able to see the time clearly. Number 5. Marlon Brandos Rolex GMT Master. Price $1.92 million. For $1.92 million, the Rolex GMT Master, reference 1675, was sold in 2019 at a Philips Game Changers event. It was named after the Academy Award winner Marlon Brando, who wore this watch during the famous film Apocalypse Now. It is a 1972 Rolex timepiece that contains an engraved M. Brando, which is said to be engraved by the actor himself. In order to make this watch stand out from its peers, Marlon Brando was allegedly asked to remove the bezel during the filming of Apocalypse Now in the Philippines. The watch was later passed on to his daughter, Petra Brando Fisher, as a celebratory gift during her graduation, along with a note expressing the actor's pride for his daughter. In its current form, the watch features no bezel and is fitted on a simple black rubber strap. Despite this austere, minimalistic design, it remains highly valued, especially for many watch connoisseurs. It may look like a simple old watch, but it has subtle details that set it apart, such as the luminous hour markers and hands that possess a golden beige shine because of how elegantly the watch has aged. It also has the Mark IV dial with a tiny oval at the base of the Rolex coronet. The crown, dial, hands, case and crystals remain in their original form, preserving the watch's initial designs and giving it a very classic look. Number 4. 1942 Rolex AntiMagnetic. Price $2.5 million. The 1914 Rolex AntiMagnetic, reference 4113, is another expensive vintage watch that was sold for $2.5 million at the Philips auction house in Geneva, Switzerland 5 years ago. Interestingly, it was first auctioned at Christie's for $1.16 million in 2013. The auction history of this watch goes to show how it, along with other Rolex watches, has only increased exponentially in value over time, regardless of the original date of release. This AntiMagnetic watch was originally gifted to different drivers and racing teams as a celebration of their victory. It was during that time that Rolex was particularly active in the car racing scene, sponsoring several racing events. In fact, the famous British motorist Sir Malcolm Campbell even wore a Rolex watch during one of his competitions. This $1 million Rolex watch comes in stainless steel with a split-seconds chronograph. The value of the watch is justified by amazing features such as raised pink gold-colored Arabic and baton hour markers, a distinguished oversized case with a satin finish, and blue telemeter and black tachymeter scale in the dial. In addition to being a limited timepiece, this model has the distinction of featuring the largest case, 44mm diameter, that the brand has ever made. Number 3. Rolex BowDye. Price $5.1 million. The Rolex BowDye reference 6062, also known as Keeper of Greatness, was sold for $5.1 million in 2017 at the Phillips auction house. This watch was first owned by the last emperor of Vietnam, Nguyen Phuc Vinh Thuy, who made a request for the rarest and most precious Rolex watch ever made in 1952. During a fortuitous stroll in Geneva, the BowDye was offered to him when he came across Chronométrie Philippe Begui, a popular Rolex retailer. In 2002, the Nguyen family auctioned off the watch, which had still been maintained in excellent condition. Originally sold at $235,000, the final bid for this watch was almost 22 times its opening price. The original Rolex 6062 line came in 3 versions, each with different dials. However, the BowDye stands out as being the only one with diamond markers set around its black dial. This watch features 5 diamond markers embedded under the BowDye's even hours and a yellow gold oyster case. Moreover, it possesses the brand's genetic code, particularly the full calendar complication featuring a moon phase display and perpetual in-house movement. Its rich history and exceptional features make it the 3rd highest priced watch ever sold from Rolex. Number 2. Rolex The Unicorn Oyster Cosmograph. Price $5.1 million. The Rolex The Unicorn Oyster Cosmograph, reference 6265, was sold for $5.9 million in 2018. The first public display of this watch was in 2013 at John Goldberger's world-class collection. At that time, this watch was never intended to be sold, as Goldberger considered this watch irreplaceable. Only later, when he realized that the sale of this watch could benefit others, did Goldberger make the choice to auction off this timepiece. Goldberger donated all the proceeds from the sale to Children Action, a foundation built to support hundreds of children and youths around the world. Throughout the years, the Rolex Cosmograph line of watches has almost all been produced in stainless steel or yellow gold. Only a few rare exceptions to this rule exist, and the Unicorn is one of them. The watch was manufactured in 1970 with luxurious white precious metal upon special request from a German retailer. Professionals regarded it as the rarest and most expensive watch ever sold back then. The heavy white gold bracelet as well as the black Sigma dial make this watch stand out among the rest. The unique white gold case with a black background and silver graphics give the watch an unusually luminescent glow that only white gold possesses. The watch is also marked with a crisp 18-karat gold hallmark, emphasizing its status as the only white gold cosmograph that Rolex has ever produced. Number 1. Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona. Price $17.8 million. Paul Newman's Rolex Daytona, reference 6239, made history when it soared to a price of $17.8 million in 2017. It was auctioned off by Phillips Auction House and immediately became the most expensive Rolex watch ever auctioned off in history. Named after the famous actor Paul Newman, this watch was made popular because of its unique story. Apart from this watch being visible in Newman's famous shots and films, it was also given to him by his wife, with the engraved words, "Drive carefully, me," on the back of the case. This rare and priceless Rolex watch comes with exceptional features. A few of these include the 3 subdials with block markers, with the second subdial found at the 9 o'clock position marked with 15, 30, 45 and 60 as indicators. Other features of this watch include a 300 units per hour stainless steel bezel, 18,000 beats per hour movement, and a tachymeter scale that's attached to the bezel instead of the dial. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, leave a like and let me know in the comments which of these watches you would like to own. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you won't miss any of our videos.